And I'm Molly Carmel, and this is the podcast I always wish existed. A bite sized, on the ground spiritual note that can shift your thinking and your outlook on life to help make us all a little bit more awake, alive, and ascending. So, just hanging a lot with my dog Danny these days. And as per usual, he taught me, or actually, I guess, reminded me of something really important about what it means to be held and why sometimes the thing that looks like a constraint is actually the thing that brings you home. So, my sweet little Danny is getting back into life. And for those of you who have not been following along, my 75-pound lab mix just had surgery and bed rest, and we are slowly and carefully easing him back into life. And last week, I had some girlfriends over for a girls' night, which has really, I mean, Danny is just a lover of life. And so this was really the first time that Danny had seen a group of people in the house in a really long time. And to say that Danny was excited about this is a gross understatement. He was so excited that that excitement actually tipped its way into anxiety, and he really couldn't contain himself. Like, he was pacing and unable to settle and going and saying hi to everybody and begging. It was just like, it was very chaotic. And I found myself watching him and thinking, oh, namaste, Danny. I so get this feeling. And, the truth about Danny is that he's always had a bit of a hard time with containment. Even as a puppy, he was like this little 5-month nugget and he would just pace the house. Like he couldn't find his ground. And I remember my dog trainer would be like, he needs to be anchored. And she taught me that I would put a leash on him and I would just sit down and hold it. Just sit down with the leash in my hand, like while it was on him, and wait. And what would happen when he had the leash on, just me holding this leash, and it was surprisingly quickly how quickly it would happen, was that he would feel the leash and realize that he was being held, he had nowhere to go, and literally would just lay down. I imagine, just knowing as a healer, that something in my energy holding that leash would communicate, you're safe, you don't have to keep moving, you can stop now. And then he would. He would stop, he would sit down, and then eventually he would lay down. And, I hadn't done that in years, but it occurred to me watching him so frenetically excited slash anxious at my girls' night party that he needed anchoring, like he needed grounding. And so I picked up the leash, I put it on his neck, or I put his collar on his neck. I sat down in a chair and I just held it. And wouldn't you know it, in a few minutes, maybe even less, he just settled. Danny settled and laid down at my feet. And I heard him exhale. Like, when a dog has a really loud exhale and it's so cute because their lives are not stressful, that's what happened. And I really thought to myself, you know, as these dogs teach us so much, like, when was the last time that someone or something held me really still like that? And it really made me think about our pocket sage today. Not the first time we've had him, but Thich Nhat Hanh and his book, The Miracle of Mindfulness. And, Thich Nhat Hanh is probably one of the most famous monks and poets and peace activists, and really brought this concept of mindfulness to the Western world. I mean, Thich Nhat Hanh, if you don't know him, you got to know him, is what I want to tell you. And here's what he says in The Miracle of Mindfulness. Breath is the bridge which connects life to consciousness, which unites your body to your thoughts. Whenever your mind becomes scattered, use your breath as the means to take hold of your mind again. Ascenders, I'm going to read it slower because this is the whole point. This is the whole point of life, kind of. Let me read it again for you, those of you in the back. Breath is the bridge which connects life to consciousness, which unites your body and your thoughts. Whenever your mind becomes scattered, use your breath as the means to take hold of your mind again. That's the leash, right? Taking hold of your mind again is the leash. And that's exactly what Danny needed and exactly what we all need when we can't find our own ground. And so our word of the day today is a great one: anchor. Anchor. And remember, an anchor doesn't keep you from moving. It keeps you from drifting, right? It gives you a fixed point, something solid underneath you, so that when the current pulls, you don't just go with it, you stay. And it's funny, I think a lot of us think of anchoring as a limitation. I mean, I don't know that I do, but that's just probably because I'm trained in trauma. But this reading is saying the absolute opposite. The anchor is what allows you to be fully present without being swept away. And containment is what makes the return possible. So the ground is not the absence of aliveness, it's what aliveness stands on. And my sweet Danny needed the leash, not because he was bad or wrong. I mean, the dog is the greatest being I've ever met in my whole life, right? He was just really, really, really excited, and he couldn't find his own ground from the inside. And the leash gave it to him from the outside until he could locate it within. And so here's what I want us to think about today. Sometimes we need something to hold us still before we can find our own stillness. And it goes without saying that we live in a world that moves very fast and rewards faster. And so the ability to keep going, to push through, to stay in motion, like this is what's celebrated. And there is absolute value in perseverance, don't get me wrong. But there's something we've lost in all of it, which is the capacity to be held and contained and to let a practice or a person or a moment be the leash that says you don't have to keep moving right now. Like you can stop. And Danny's anxiety wasn't gone because I held the leash, but the excitement and the overwhelm and the inability to settle, all of that was real. And the leash gave him a boundary, a container, something solid to land on until the spinning tired itself out and he could find his floor. And I think we all need that. I mean, not forever and ever and ever, but there's a time and a place for it because there are moments where we're really spinning and the adrenaline of life has us pacing and we cannot locate our own ground. There is nothing wrong with reaching for an anchor, whether it's a meditation practice that holds you every morning or taking a little walk to breathe and find your center again, making a phone call to a person whose presence makes you exhale, a moment of stillness before the house wakes up, or just a breath, just a big, huge, deep breath and exhale. The leash isn't the answer to the anxiety, but it is the way back to yourself. And once you're back, like once Danny was back lying at my feet, finally still, you realize the ground was there the whole time. You just needed something to help you find it. And so my reflective question for you today: what anchor do you reach for, or could you reach for when you can't find your own stillness? And I am right here with you, Ascenders, finding my ground one breath at a time. And Danny's right here with you too. And if these are landing with you, let's send it around and shout it from the rafters because we want to grow this Ascender crew large and in charge because we rise together. Until next time.